gonna be our stream layout for now. But this is gonna be episodic. This is episode 1. But I basically wanted to make a talk show. I wouldn't even call it a podcast. Talk show, something short and sweet about my two favorite esports, or our two favorite esports, I should say. Halo and Call of Duty. Eventually, we'll probably add Smash in here as well. Games that are relevant to LFTG at the time. So who knows? We might be diving in. I could definitely talk about Smash all day. But with me is Phantom Snake. You cannot see his beautiful, beautiful face. And I don't know, do you still have the mustache?
Yeah, I have something.
Yes.
I like something going on, yeah.
I have something going on. But these are our Twitter handles down low. But let's just fly into it. So at top, we have our topics. We have CDL. You wanted to bring up Toronto Ultra. We didn't talk about Toronto at all.
No, not in our previous discussions that we had.
What did you want to talk about Toronto?
Just the way they played on Saturday and Sunday. Even though they got knocked out, they played pretty well.
Who'd they get knocked out by?
Optic.
By Optic, okay.
Yeah, they got knocked out by Optic. I know they had some like a roster carousel, and it seemed like they were gonna be comfortable with that, kind of just switching out players and certain events. I don't know what their strategy was. I think a lot of people were kind of curious if they were just gonna find a set roster, or depending on who's doing good in scrims or a player. Which I mean they have 10 people that are starters. There's no people on the bench, like we all know. But I think they found their set core 5. But I'd still like to see them kind of switch it around.
For sure.
Depending on who's hot during practice, and if they notice someone playing particularly well against a certain team, I think they need to do that. I'm not sure the substitution rules.
So they can sub, I believe, even in between games.
Okay.
Like it doesn't need to be right away. Or I know it can't be during a game, obviously, because that would be crazy. But I know it can be in between games. So if they had a team that was really good at search versus a team they had, but I know the cooldown time's only like 5 minutes a match. So just as a background, we're talking about Toronto Ultra right now. They played New York Subliners. They won 3-1. Then they played Minnesota Rocker, won 3-1, and then lost to Optic Gaming 2-3. So they made it all the way to a semifinal. So they made it to a day 3. Get this, Toronto was in a pool with New York, Florida, and Rocker. And Toronto and New York made it out of this pool. Both Florida and Minnesota did not make it out of this pool. I filled out a couple of bracket predictions before this event, and that was not my bracket prediction.
Nope. I don't think it was anyone's.
So you think Toronto's had a little bit of a break, I believe. They've had a few weeks off, or I should say about a month and a half off. So you believe that they 100% came back better?
Yes. I think with their set 5, I know they were switching. I think they had enough time to practice. I mean, throughout the whole event, you saw basically all 5 of their players kind of go off in certain moments. I mean, Methods was a big standout to me, and also Cammy. So
yes,
I mean, there was multiple clutches on their end, especially the match against Optic, where you had Slasher kind of going off on Search, 1v1s against him and Dashy. Methods had and multiple 2v1 clutches with Cammy and Methods. It was just kind of crazy to see. I know Methods didn't have a good year last year.
Yeah, I last year I believe Methods was just kind of thrown onto teams that he didn't fit in well with. I feel like I saw some like I feel like I saw some things happening with Methods. Like he was making individual plays really well, but everything just didn't mold together like they could have. And Methods has kind of been a curse, man. I mean, he joined Optic during World War II. I mean, Optic was already kind of falling apart, and Methods I don't believe helped. They had one really good event after that, and then they kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting to see how Methods is. I feel like this is the best Methods has looked on a team.
In a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, this event specifically, even before it was kind of questionable. I mean, he was playing pretty steady, but this event, I mean, he was going off, and maybe not as far as stats. I think actually on day 2, at the end of day 2, he had the best KD of the event.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
On the end of Saturday, he had number 1 KD, and then I don't know how he ended up based on Sunday. Obviously not well since they got knocked out, but yeah, I mean he was going off, and then Cammy, his teammate, I think he didn't have as good of a stats, but the clutch plays that he made were pretty crazy.
Okay, so we can both definitely agree on Toronto Ultra playing better. I mean, they made it to a semifinal. Now we're going to talk about 2 teams that did not make it to their semifinals, and that is Florida and Minnesota. What, dude? Okay, so this is my topic. This was my topic I was gonna bring up, and I guess I'll start off by saying, bro, what happened? I actually had Florida making it to finals. In my bracket prediction, I had them beating Minnesota. Not the first time, the second time. I had them beating the second time. I believe Florida is one of those teams that gets better as the days go on. So they got knocked out day 2 by a team that we'll be mentioning later. But Minnesota, I mean, they did play a really hot Toronto. Do you think it was a lack of preparation? Because I feel like Minnesota is a team that prepares. You've seen it against FaZe. They've beat FaZe. They're one of the few teams that have, especially in a final. Not in a final. They actually beat them in a semifinal in LA, and that was on LAN. That is where FaZe should have been the scariest. Yeah. So what do you think about these 2 teams?
I do think the online switch has something to do with it. I think we kind of mentioned that before too. Florida faced Rocker day 1. They got 3-0'd. They weren't able to do anything really. No one really, but there was a carry or anything like that. Usually Skies is kind of a hard carry, and when no one's doing pretty well, and even in Surge, he wasn't doing necessarily too hot. As far as Minnesota, I don't know that. Yeah, I just think online, man, especially those players with Assault.
So do you believe 100% if it was on LAN again, the outcome would have been different?
Yeah, for sure. Even on Florida's sake, I think they would have played better against the Rocker on LAN. But I mean, Silly did well, especially against Florida.
Yeah,
and he played well against Toronto as well. He was kind of the only player that was doing well. Assault had some clutches in Surge as well, and then even
you have GodRx, right?
Made a lot of good plays. GodRx, he was sniping. Yeah, his sniping and Surge was pretty good too. But I mean, I don't think they played bad. You know, I don't. Minnesota didn't. Florida, obviously, they got.
I think Florida, if they were going to lose during this event, it would have been round 1, and it would have been the finals against FaZe. I didn't have them losing to New York. New York's been one of those teams that's kind of hard to bet for. They've been pretty inconsistent, but we'll get to that later. So. All right, so to round off the topic, Minnesota and Florida. Do you believe it was a fluke weekend? Do you think they'll bounce back?
For Florida, I don't think it was a fluke weekend. I think there's an issue there. For Minnesota, I do think it is. They just need to make some adjustments. Like I said, no one really played bad on Minnesota. Just Toronto was hot this event, and they just destroyed them in Surge. And even on the respawns too. So Yeah. For Minnesota fluke event, I would say that. For Florida, I think there's an issue.
I think Florida is still underrated and still still underrated in some areas. I think Florida is going to be one of those teams that I believe they're going to get better as the year goes on. Maybe I do think it was a fluke weekend for them. I do think it was something that later on the season we're going to be overlooking. We're going to be, they had one bad event, but look at what they've done so far. I mean, at the end of the day, Florida's won an event. Minnesota has not, and you can even look at someone like Toronto Ultra and New York, and you can still say they haven't won an event. I believe the potential has been shown for Florida. I don't think their win was a fluke. I mean, they've beaten the Huntsmen multiple times.
Yep.
And they
both times.
And they beat Minnesota in a final. I mean, Minnesota did do some work and take out FaZe for them, but with how Florida was playing that weekend, I don't know if FaZe would have beat them. But now we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. And you brought up that everyone's calling them like fake champions. I wouldn't say that. I mean, they played really well.
I mean, they won.
weekend.
They're not fake champions. It's on paper. They won. They have a win.
Yeah, they won. Obviously, I wouldn't agree with like, oh man, it was a fluke. First event online, whatever the case may be. You're gonna have those issues on an online event no matter what. I mean, can't deny that. But anyways, it was an event. They won. Hearing that, at least on my end, that would make me feel like they would have played well or wanted to play even better than they played that event.
Have that chip on their shoulder. Want to prove? Have something to prove?
Chip on your shoulder. No, it wasn't a fluke, and they got 6-0'd, so that's not gonna help the perception of.
Dude, I mean, but you got I mean, I was gonna say you got to look at who they got 6-0'd by, and it was Minnesota.
I mean, it was Rocker who they destroyed in finals,
and then New York, which had a hot weekend.
New York. Another team that had a hot weekend.
All right, we're gonna switch gears because we could talk about these two teams all day, bro. I know it. I know for a fact. But now you wanted to bring up Optic Gaming, the new Optic Gaming.
Yeah, dude.
Post Hex.
Optic post Hex. The past couple events they've been heating up, man. But I think this is even more so. They're kind of like the subliners, which you're gonna get into. It's random. To me, it's random. If they're gonna do well, they're gonna do well. If they're not gonna do well, they're gonna suck. They're gonna look like the worst team, or they're gonna look like one top 3 team. And this weekend they look like a top 3 team. I mentioned before, even against Ultra on the knockout round, the semifinals. I mean, they were popping off, and they're players that needed to finally. They're star players that needed to wake up. They were playing on incredible.
Yeah.
Dashy was dropping 30 kills. Kenny finally woke up. I didn't think he had a good Friday or Saturday. He did pretty well, but he didn't have as good of a day as he did on Sunday.
No, definitely not. There was a couple of points where Kenny or Quavo, whatever he wants to be called now. There were some moments in especially a hard point where he got up close and personal with a lot of these other players, and he was just shredding these players. He was just running around the map doing his thing, getting his specialists. He had a couple of really good streaks and a couple of really good hill breaks or objective breaks. And in the search, I feel like he was especially brilliant on defense. He did a really good job. He did his job on offense trying to get those entry frags. But on defense, he was really holding down the site. And a lot of the times you would think it's the AR players that are holding down the site. No, Quavo was running around A and B, using corners and cover to his advantage, and really just playing solid all weekend. So Optic 100% grew from... I think it comes down to dropping JCap, man. I think JCap has been a curse for teams the last 2 to 3 Call of Duties.
Yeah. I had something to do with it for sure. I mean, Chino, he played well. I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't stand out. He didn't do anything crazy, but he didn't make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all it comes down to.
And JCap never plays bad. but I think it's the in-game communication that struggles, and it is maybe the outside of game communication, which as a former player of an esport, as a competitor, is just as big, man. How you get along with people outside of the game is just as important as inside of the game. And I feel like even teams like Chicago or the old Optic struggled from that these last 4 or 5 years. I think people are really starting to figure out it's not all about having the most expensive players on your team. It's about having a team that works together. And I think that's why usually Minnesota would make it to a semifinal or a final, and usually Florida would make it to a semifinal or a final. But I mean, in Florida, you can kind of go the other way. They dropped someone that they thought was, I wouldn't say toxic to their teammate, but just not healthy for their environment, and they haven't placed as well since. Actually, that's not even true. They've placed better. So
Yeah,
every team that has made a change like this, besides Seattle, but Seattle didn't make this change for outside of game reasons. They did it because Enable was just straight up bad at search.
Yeah.
But they didn't improve in the respawn. They actually got worse at the respawn. And you play more respawns and you play search, and I think that's why Enable's coming back. But back to Optic LA. I think them prioritizing out of game communication and having people that fit together personality wise was a brilliant decision. I feel like this team is going to be consistently in a semifinal or right there. I don't know if they're going to be able to win one yet after watching how they played against FaZe. I feel like there's a couple of teams that can beat FaZe, and I don't think
I don't think Optics is one of them.
So
at least not right now.
So we're gonna move on from Optic, and because this directly goes with my topic, which was New York. I do believe in the recent future, New York will be one of those teams that can beat FaZe, 100%. I believe if New York and LA played in the semifinal, no doubt in my mind, New York is taking that match. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they played FaZe hard in their semifinal.
Game 5, man.
Yeah, it was a game 5. It wasn't a good game 5. I mean, they lost pretty handedly.
It's by like 3 or 4 rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like.
I mean, but they won. The thing is they won one of the searches, and that there makes that game 5 possible. Like, people are like, oh, they got blown out game 5. They took a search in the same series, so they know search is possible. And the respawns, man, like beating a team like FaZe.
They're really good. I mean, their search game, even on that game 5, I mean, they just got rolled, kind of like snowballed into that. But I mean, the rounds that they did win, and they weren't like out of hand, the rounds.
No,
but Mac
I was just about to say Mac is the guy they needed. Mac, I mean, it probably the transition to Mac being a starter probably also was going to come from, one of their players was going to be at home, not in the U.S. They did have a foreigner on their team, so I wonder if it was still LAN, if they would have made that change to Mac. I think it would have been more risky on LAN to change and play Mac, because Mac has always had that online experience. Mac hasn't had a ton of LAN experience, and I know Zero has.
Zero is a LAN player too.
Yeah, and Zero is 100% a LAN player, but but with them playing on LAN, they still weren't getting wins. So do you think this change was inevitable, or do you think they would have struggled? They would have just continued to struggle?
Yeah, I think New York, and a couple of teams you could say this about, I think they have a core, or they went into the season with a core 5, and then some people had subs in case something happened, but other people had subs already thinking like, hey, they may make the starting lineup at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I think Toronto was brilliant to fill their sub slot. All they did was give them the most options. I mean, I costed Toronto a pretty penny, and it's going to cost them every month because there's players on there that are salary that aren't necessarily going to be playing. But I think in the long run, they're going to be able to develop as a team like New York has now done with putting Mac on. Mac on his first weekend destroyed Chicago. Destroyed. Yep. If Simp would not have been playing in that tournament, Mac would hold the record for highest kills in a game on Chicago.
Yeah.
On Chicago and a hard point.
He's just good, man. He's not scared of the players on FaZe. I mean, he was challenging Simp.
Yeah.
Head to head, and he won most of the gunfights.
And you have to do that. You have to do that. If you let a player like Simp take control of like your mental game, it's over, man. Yep. I 100% believe I 100% believe Simp's the best player in the game and will continue to be for the next 5 years. I think that's just the reality that everyone's gonna have to get behind. But you need to be able, as a competitor, to challenge that person. See, no, you're not, dude. I believe I'm the best, and I feel like Mac's done a wonderful job at doing that. And I 100% believe if we would have saw New York in that final, it would have been a way better final to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's those little things like that one player gets on the team, the one substitution, and everyone else comes up. Kind of like how we talked about Optic. Not necessarily totally different player from Chino. He is basically a JCab sub. JCab was making too many mistakes. Chino just didn't make mistakes, you know. But Mac, on the other hand, he brought the team back to life in his performance. He's going crazy, putting up crazy numbers, doing a lot of damage during games, and just everyone else attached and Zuma are just able to do what we've known that they have always done. As they fit their roles better now. I think they made a change, an AR or a role change. I think I'm not sure who it was, but whatever they did, I mean, they look like old FaZe, you know what I mean, when they're on FaZe.
Yeah. So I guess we'll round up and say, you know, we'll round it off with New York, super improved. I think could be a top 4 or 5 team. I would be interested in watching them play Chicago again. They're 1-1 with Chicago last event. I know they lost to Chicago, I believe, or was that the only time they played? Are they 1-1 total? They might be 1-1 total. 1-1. So they're even with Chicago. I'd like to see Chicago play again. But let's move on to the next CDL topic, which is, so apparently we don't know this to be 100%. I mean, I believe it to be true. Some CDL players and CDL reps got together and talked about possibly removing domination as a CDL game type. Basically, what I wanted to ask, what do you think that's going to mean? Do you think we're just going to play hardpoint and search, or do you think another game mode is going to be added in? And if so, what game mode would you like to see added in? This is more of a personal preference topic.
Yeah. I think I mean, multiple things could happen, and I think should happen. Yes, remove Dom and just put in hardpoint, but for now, as a temporary thing. And I think they can change some rule sets on the domination game to make it a better game type and more fun for the players and the viewers. I think the only reason why the CDL was entertaining the idea is because, I mean, it's boring to watch. I mean, it is. Playing it's pretty fun, but even now, I guess some players are taking issues to it, and I think it has to do with the settings in that game type.
What? How would you? Okay, let's say we live in a world where you can fix domination.
Yeah.
I don't believe domination's all that bad. I believe a lot of the issues that players have with spawns.
Yeah, it's the spawns.
I don't think it is, man. I think it's...
No, I'm saying that's the issue that the players have.
Right, but I don't think that's actually an issue, because I saw a Twitter where I saw a tweet. I forget who was playing, but you had C and B capped by a team, and this is on Hackney Yard. And then they started to pursue middle, and they were leaving B and going to A. They were going for the spawn flip. Mm-hmm. But you had your guy on. So basically, they expected players to be spawning on the far side of A, over by Brown Building.
Yep, but they had guys in office or something.
Right, but they spawned over by Yellow instead.
Yep.
I believe that was 100% their own team's fault because you had a player. I mean, you're trying to flip anyway. You should be hoping for the flip. You get the flip, and then now you're complaining about spawns. You had players pushing out middle. You had players pushing out across the street, winning gunfights. So, and then you had lines of sight from top warehouse overlooking brown. So where else are they gonna spawn, man? Like, where else do you want them to be? Do you want them to spawn green with that player rotating? No, you want them to spawn yellow. You want them to spawn back towards C.
Yeah,
And
they just got caught up in or not even a rotation, a wrong guess. They just guessed wrong because all the players. It was only an issue because they were all coming back to A, and they technically spawned at that point. They spawned behind them.
Yeah,
and were able to kill them.
They did, but that's what they were. That's what they were trying to do. It just happened earlier than they thought.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand that. In game, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I understand.
I would have been pissed in
what
game.
The frustration is.
but after
yeah,
watching it, I'm like, I wouldn't have tweeted that. I would have been like, yeah, okay. Like this.
What else did you expect?
Yeah, this somewhat makes sense to me.
I think. I mean, I don't know. The settings I would change. I mean, you and I both have kind of talked about similar switching into the like strongholds in Halo 5. I think that should be the case. Not exactly, but I think decapping needs to be in there. But I think the timing needs to be either switched on the decap or capping. Make it faster. I don't know which one though would make more sense. I would think.
Sorry, continue.
I would think maybe capping would make it faster, make the decap the same. Or I don't know. It could be either one of the two or both. Maybe switching time, make it longer to decap, or make it longer to cap and quicker to decap. I don't know. I think that one probably would make more sense.
I think speeding up the time for decapping would make the most sense. I feel like the reward for capping a dom point shouldn't be so easily given, but I believe because it's a lot harder because you're gonna have to win 2 gunfights, man. I'm a 2 gunfight kind of person, and you know this from my core, whether it's Halo or Call of Duty. If B is gonna be taken, you need to slay out on the entry, and then you need to slay out on the hold. And I believe slaying out on the entry is harder than slaying out on the hold. So I do believe that decapping could be a bit faster to at least stop them from getting points. But if you lose the gunfight, to hold B again, you need to be punished. Like some punishment needs to come through because if you quicken up the cap time, you could still technically lose that gunfight, but cap and get points off of it. I don't think that should be the case. I think 100% if a dom setting is going to be changed, I don't think it should be spawns. I don't think it should be respawn times. No, I think I do agree with you. I think it should be decapping or neutralizing a flag should be faster. I mean, that's what makes sense. Because getting those entry frags, especially on B on warehouse when someone's holding A and B, I mean, people are looking across the street. There's head glitches all over the place. People are top AC. The only place you can really come from is if you slay out mid and go top AC. It's going to be super hard, so you can't go through the back door, or you go through top L or bottom L. You have 3 ways to get in there if you're on C side.
Yeah, and then I think also in conjunction of that is they need to make it where 2 points score points only. You have to hold. I think that would cause, especially changing the timings. I think that would cause more movement on the map because right now people are I don't think someone like how you said, if you're in the lead for certain points, I think it just has to do with that timing, and it's too much for a consumer to watch as far as like, oh, this person can only hold 1 point, and
there's too much math as a casual spectator that you have to do. Game.
I think it's too much, and like I said, I think a person needs to be punished if a team is trying to make a comeback. It
needs to be possible.
It needs to be possible.
And it needs to be possible for the viewer. The viewer, the fans of that team need to have hope that comeback is possible. I mean, I could see that. I think it's just, dude. It's just. So I guess if decapping was faster, you could do this. But with the current cap times, I don't think you could do it.
Yeah.
because getting those entry frags are too hard. And I think it's the opposite happens. It's now no longer too easy to get points. It's now too hard to get points.
Hard, yeah.
So I think both would have to happen. I think decapping faster is something that should happen, period. But I would like to see a game be played where only majority of the flags cap.
Yeah.
And do you think you should still get 2 points? I mean, for pace sake, yeah. For pace sake, I think for sure. Because Halo, believe it or not, a lot more gunfights happen in Halo than they do in Call of Duty. It doesn't seem like it because the gunfights take a little bit longer, but there's a lot more interactions. So I don't think lowering that time would help. I think keeping the game fast, making it feel fast, because that's part of the beauty of watching Call of Duty, man. Okay, so this is what you would change with Dom. Okay.
Yep.
It'll probably be hardpoint search only. It'll probably be hardpoint search. I think there'll only be 2 searches. I think 3 would be too much weight on search. So that's probably what would happen. There's not really too much discussion, I don't think, on that. But if you were to add in a new game type, what game type would you add?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't. No, just keep it to hardpoints.
Okay.
If they're gonna remove it completely, it would be hardpoint search, hardpoint search.
I don't think running 2 hardpoints back to back would be good to watch, man. I think
they can't. Well, they have to at some point. They can't have a hardpoint and be a game 5.
Why?
That they could, but that only goes down to that only goes down to viewership. People want to see a round 11 game 5.
That's okay. You do have a point there. A point there. I agree with you. Man, that's so hard. I could see the same map on hardpoint being played 2 times in the same series, and I want to watch that, man. Like that's one of the things.
They'd have to come with something where that's not allowed.
Yeah, like dude, I think COD should do it anyway. I think it should be the smash roll. I think you have a set game 1. Hey, you're gonna play, or the higher seed picks. I want hardpoint game 1, and if the losing seed wins, they pick next map. It's all the same game types, but they pick the next map. I think the winning team should ban a map, losing team should pick a map. But after the previous series before was determined, I feel like having pick and bans in Call of Duty doesn't force everyone to play every map. And I get that some maps are funner to play, but some maps, dude, they're funner to watch. Like, I feel like, dude, people hate Piccadilly, but I love watching Search on Piccadilly because the snipes go crazy, man. You have a lot of really tight lanes, and snipes are super fun to watch. I get that you don't like playing it, but man, I want to see a round 11, and I just want to see a sniper battle. Like, well, I want to see it.
I don't know if you saw that they played Search Piccadilly. I think it was Ultra and Rocker.
Yeah, that was the game 2, right?
Yeah, Ultra and Rocker. They everything went out the window. They were just running at each other off spawn, running each other out.
I mean,
that's
so
cool. Quick. The rounds were so quick. That was fun. You know, that was really fun.
I feel like I personally feel like Piccadilly's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. Everyone else kind of, even their snipers were pushing up. You know, I mean, God RX and the other sniper, I forgot who it was on the other team, but I mean, they're crazy, man. It was insane. I think it was Cammy that was sniping, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, there was no slow rounds that whole game, so it was pretty interesting to watch. Just seeing them running at each other. So I see. I don't know, man. The game type, like something like that. What's that other game type that's kind of like Surge?
I was just about to ask. It's not Dominion, Demolition.
Yeah, I could see maybe something like that.
Here's my take.
Like that map. Yeah.
Here's my take. Here's what I was gonna say. I think Headquarters would have been dope esport to watch because I think there would be so many crazy clutch moments. I think like you'd get a defense, your squad gets wiped, and I could just see someone with an MP5 running around inside. I don't care where, on like Arkloff Peak, for example, running around side. What is it, B bomb in the house? and just slaying out 5 people, and I think that would be hype to watch. But I do think whoever caps it would get points, hands down, whatever. I was gonna say demolition, but you add lives to demolition. There's not enough weight on dying if you're a defense squad.
Yeah.
It's hard to plant and get that cap and hold it for that long. And even if you destroy the defensive team, they spawn close enough to where sometimes it doesn't matter, man. They'll just overwhelm you. So I think putting weight on deaths is important. I think probably doing like 30 lives around to 45, and I 100% believe that round 3 you do keep it neutral. You keep 100% one bomb point right in the middle of the map, and teams go for it, man. And that would be sick to watch, man. I think that would be a better game 5 scenario than Surge in some ways.
Yeah.
Because then you would have teams slaying each other out at the end. It would be a full fight. But
yeah.
I think that would be the best game 3 with lives added. Add weight to the game mode. Add weight to dying. I feel like that's the only thing missing from that game mode. It's hard. It's fun. I don't think the spawn trapping is that bad. It's like capture the flag. If you push up far enough, you spawn halfway across the map. So you want to hold your team back on a certain line to keep them spawning back there, because if you push too far up to spawn trap, then you're going to force them out. And I believe that 100% makes sense. I think those spawns, I do believe the Dom spawns make sense as a spectator, but I 100% believe those spawns make even more sense. And I think it is more competitive. It keeps people in their bases. So. It provides a true side to the map, so there's going to be a true good and bad side. And if spawns get flipped, like something's wrong, something bad's happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could work. Especially with the lives.
I think that would have to be the game mode. That would have to be it. It was like Control.
The other one, though? The one that you can like revive or something like that.
Cyber attack.
Yeah, something like that too. I think could work, which is kind of similar.
Yeah, it's kind of similar, but I could see cyber attack being too drawn out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see people just getting revived over and over again. I still think it would be cool to watch.
I think the same thing, but with like only one revive or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked watching Control and Black Ops 4. I felt like Control was a really intense game to watch, especially when someone gets steamrolled, you have proofs as a casual. You have proof where the numbers are. They have this many lives. Their lives got wiped. Wow, they must have got destroyed. And if it was a close game, there was 2 things there was a weight on. There was bomb timer or capture time, and then there was the lives. So like, oh, the lives are close, and attackers need to cap. Oh, they're down in lives, and it made comebacks that much better. Like when an attacking team was down in lives and had crunch on time and they made a comeback, it was like, oh my gosh, it was good to watch. It was exciting. So yeah. I think in my opinion, I think Demolition with lives is the only game mode that could replace Dom reasonably.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I don't think anyone has like proposed that.
No, 100% not, dude. I guarantee it, bro. I'm just a gamer, man.
I'm not sure how players feel about it. I don't even think anyone's played that, but I mean,
dude, I can 100% see that meeting room right now and just see nobody talk about that game type as it doesn't exist. But I think it's a lot better and a lot more competitive than people believe it to be. I mean, if it stays, we'll play pubs this weekend. If it stays in pub rotation, we should play it a couple of times to see if it is like competitively viable.
I hope another game type does get inserted, but I have a feeling that they're just gonna remove it because whatever reason.
I have a feeling it will be 3 searches, which I don't think is
yeah, I don't know.
Good idea.
I hope something gets happened. It's okay for even this next event where it's like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, but we're gonna.
Dude, you know, Boozer would love it if it was
test something for the fall.
Search hardpoint, search hardpoint, search.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I totally see the 2 hardpoints. I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do too.
All right, we have one last topic, and it's a sensitive one.
What is it?
Halo esports and where it is
Oh
right
man.
now, and what it's gonna look like in the future. This is the last topic of the night.
Yeah, kind of switching gears.
Not talking. No, Halo, Halo.
Well, yeah, as I said, switching gears,
I,
dude.
I know, but we're not switching to gears, bro. We're talking about Halo now. Different game.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Right now, it's a big risk. I know there had been recent talks about orgs looking for people for Halo Infinite on the esports scene, but I think these are orgs that we were seeing towards the end of Halo 5. I think Unlimited announced, no, that's not a major org. Unlimited announced that they were going to pick up a team. You remember Sentinels picked up?
Yeah, Sentinels picked up Talks.
Talks, which is not. I mean, it's a bigger org than all the unknown. It's a known org, but it's in a smaller one as well.
Yep.
I don't see an EG or CLG or any of those orgs looking right now.
So on.
I think it's gonna have to be a smaller.
So that's
reciprocity broke up recently too. So
yeah, that was for different reasons for Ray. So you kind of touched on a subtopic, I guess. So that subtopic is how our org's gonna react to the new Halo, and our new org's gonna get onto Halo when Infinite comes out. I believe the orgs that are gonna be closest to Halo are not going to be orgs that have already participated in Halo, but I think you're going to see a lot of the CDL ownership groups, because what I believe is going to happen with Halo is they're going to have a normal season of what we're used to, and then 100% they're going to try to franchise season 2. I believe that with my whole heart. Halo right now is looking at Call of Duty, and they're not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of community and in terms of interaction. And they're asking themselves, how can we be like that? How can we do that? And I think franchising is the number one thing. A lot of people said it was obviously it's a big investment for these organizations. You saw some of your organizations like 100 Thieves not invest into Call of Duty as an esport in that future. But I do believe Halo has struggled with player stability and consistency as far as tournaments go. And franchising is 120% the best way to provide consistency and player stability. Players are getting paid no matter what. I mean, you have tournaments no matter what. Halo's always struggled with community members not following through, or leagues not following through. And what do we have as a community? As a Halo community, I'm gonna say something that I know you've heard me say. As a community, we are lazy. Dude, we're so lazy. We're so lazy as a community, man. Like, I shouldn't. My tournaments, man, they shouldn't be for Halo 5 a go-to thing. They shouldn't be what they are, man. LFTG shouldn't have. I mean, I would hope eventually we would get there, but people shouldn't look at LFTG and be like, hey, those are our consistent tournaments right now. They should be looking like, hey, we have a tournament this weekend, and 343 is doing something like that, but they're doing it in H2A, and everyone that plays Halo doesn't have a PC, man. Like, I love that Halo's on the PC, and reach out to as many people as possible. Do it, because we need the exposure, we need the fan base. But if you're going to create something competitive, you need to create something for the people that have supported you for forever, not the new people. Dude, I mean, besides, like, obviously, like, you, myself, and then, like, the pro players and, like, top-level amateur players, they're probably going to have PCs because they stream or they're into PC gaming. But the majority of your community that has been playing Halo forever has known how to play the game on controller and has an Xbox already to play Halo. So I think I think they're doing the right thing by doing Halo 2 Anniversary, because I do believe that was the best game in MCC as far as stability goes. But I think they shot themselves in the foot by going, hey, you want this great thing here, but you have to have this to do it.
Yeah, I think esports is fine on PC, because I mean that's a very niche category anyways. You're still gonna have competitive playlists for the people that just want to grind competitive at home. that are never going to go to an event or sign up for a tournament or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I
So I think that's still there. I think moving to esports, I feel the opposite. I feel they have to make a PC jump in order for them to be able to.
They have too many competitors, man. You gotta look at the market as a whole. I mean, Valorant's coming out. You have CS:GO. You have Overwatch. You have Fortnite's considered a PC esport. You have all these shooters that are on PC, and there is proof. There is proof in front of our eyes that an esport doesn't have to be PC on PC. Look at Call of Duty. Dude, look at Smash Brothers. Look how much more active the Smash Brothers community is. Their developer doesn't even care about their game.
Yeah.
I don't think going to PC is a necessary jump for esports. I do think it does broaden our audience. And what I think needs to happen is the next Halo needs to come out. It needs to be crossplay. And they need to say you can compete on mouse, keyboard, or controller. And I know,
I think that's going to happen for sure, but it's going to be on the PC platform, which is fine.
It needs to be competitive, needs to be accessible from a console. That's what I'm saying. It needs to be accessible from both. Because I can go on game battles right now. We both can, and we could do double search and destroy, and you can be on PC, I could be on controller, and we could get a lobby.
And I think that will be, but as far as like a league, like an official league that is HCS, I think it has to be on PC, man. I don't see it going back. I mean, if the controller input right now, people are using controllers on PC anyways. I don't think it's that big of a jump. Maybe an Infinite if the mouse and keyboard input is significantly better than controller, which it probably isn't going to be, but I think it will be improved, hopefully. I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see. I mean, your controller players, your long-standing, console players playing on a competitive PC event against PC players. I don't think that will work in the long run. I look at the Rainbow Six as kind of an example because they had an Xbox League and they had a PC League when they first started out. The Xbox League did pretty well for a couple of years. And then they phased it out because a lot of orgs and a lot of the sponsorships
they can
were
only
going
support
towards
one.
PC.
Yeah.
They weren't going towards the console league. So it did phase out a lot of the pros that were on there. And they were good players. A lot of them, only a few actually made the jump to the PC league. And they won a championship playing mouse and keyboard. They had to switch their input and relearn everything. And but I mean, look at it now. Compared to Halo 5, they released at the same time, the same month, same year. They've gotten the complete opposite of what Halo 5 has done. Their esports scene has grown significantly. They have crazy dev support. I don't really play the game.
I mean, well, okay. Before you continue on, Siege is a very tough spot because they tried to do that Vegas League and now they've screwed over a bunch of their players. So as a league, they are not structurally stable right now. As a community, they have grown a lot when they did their PC focused, but again, it wasn't ease of access for both. It wasn't these Xbox players playing against these PC players. It was Xbox players playing against Xbox players. So you never had the actual true crossover. So I think that's the one takeaway you have there is you can make a comparison. Yeah, they've had both, and one was more successful than the other. However, one never ever played the other. So I think that is like a hard argument to make. Hear me out. What if the new Xbox does what they say it's going to do? What if it runs at 1080p, 120 frames, and what if you can plug a mouse and keyboard into it? What if the standard tournament thing is an Xbox, but online, PC, Xbox crossover, on LAN, you can bring your mouse and keyboard, you can bring your controller. Do you think that would be a viable platform for Infinite?
No, not for mouse and keyboard.
Why? If the new Xbox is mouse and keyboard compatible.
Because it's 100. You just said it, 120 frames. You can't play that on a competitive at 120 frames. I can run 160 frames on a 10-year-old graphics card on Modern Warfare. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's not. I don't think that's gonna be be enough. And it's not gonna be Infinite is not gonna be 120 frames. It's gonna be 60.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
because the way they said it, they can maximize it at 120. But graphic settings have to be compromised, and I don't know if there's gonna be an in-game setting for
That,
graphics.
but that is also true for PC.
Yeah, that is also true.
That is also very, very true for PC. But
But
I think
I'm uncapped on low settings.
I think what they'll do is they'll keep competitive on the Xbox because they need to sell it. I mean, and that's gonna be.
I don't think they are, man.
You don't think so? I mean, I would like to see Halo on PC, and I think again it would be good, but I think you need to be able to. It needs to be crossplay, man. That's all I'm saying at the end of the day. It needs to be crossplay. It has to be. It has to be. After this Call of Duty, there's no way. There's no way it can't be crossplay and be successful.
I think it will, but we'll see. Well, I mean, I think they're gonna keep the same format they have right now with the past Reach event. It's gonna be on PC. You can use whatever input you want.
Okay. I will. That would be. I think that would be good to see.
Yeah, H2 is gonna be the same thing. Infinite is probably gonna be the same thing unless but if you were talking about franchising, then that's when you go into a bunch of different things. That's when you lose control over that, and you have owners making decisions. Which I don't think Halo needs to do franchising at this point.
I think for the first season they won't, but I think in order to be as a competitor, because Halo at the end of the day, as an esport, is a competitor to Call of Duty. That's probably the biggest crossover you see in shooters right now. Like, you have your Overwatch players. Yeah, they sometimes play CS, or sometimes a CS player will come over because it was a new game. But you don't really see the two mixed together. The one thing you do see, especially if Xbox does stay on console, is you see kind of console esports grouped together, like console shooters. Halo is always compared to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is always compared to Halo. I don't think it should be compared. I think they should be two completely separate entities. But so what you're saying is Infinite needs to go competitive PC for it to be successful.
Yes.
Okay.
And not because of, and I'm not thinking of players. I'm thinking solely business.
Okay.
Like, as far as to get those sponsorships, to get those orgs. I mean, to get peripheral sponsors. Think about peripheral sponsorships. Right now, what they have Scuff. They had Scuff at one point. Not even the individual orgs had Scuffs.
Yeah.
Sponsorship. But
Scuff, Battle Beaver, Cinch. Remember they had Cinch?
Yeah, they had Cinch. That's right. Cinch had
Astro has controllers now. Microsoft has. I mean, so you have a lot of good peripheral stuff, and don't forget headsets. I mean, all these headsets work on. So you have the same peripheral sponsors. I do see what you mean as far as business goes. They could get a lot more out of sponsorships, maybe. I mean, but look how well Call of Duty is doing, man. They have stuff like Jack in the Box, Jack Links. They have all these crazy sponsorships.
Well, that's because, that's because of the owners. It's more like, I think that when you go into franchising, it's not about sponsorships. It's more about advertising.
Yeah.
Based on who your owners are. I mean, we've seen that. We don't even get Call of Duty commercials or in between match stuff.
Oh, they have gotten better this last event than they were like the first two online events, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, so I think that is a little different. I think franchising, but not like the CDL League, would work for Halo. It'd have to be more like the other esport leagues, kind of like a League of Legends.
I'll completely disagree with you there. I think the best franchise league formula right now is 120% the CDL. It's the most entertaining as far as how they don't play one match a weekend and then they're done. They have a full bracket. They have a good travel schedule for these weeks. They don't travel to each place and play once. They travel, they play for a full weekend, and then you have teams that are sitting out. You don't have the intense travel schedule. It's every other week. I feel like the CDL has the best franchise structure. The travel schedule's fine. It's easy to keep up with. There's more weight on every match because they are in a tournament format. It's not one match, done. All right, you got points for championship. We'll see you in 3 months. No, it's like, no, you're playing for points and money. There's $100,000 every single tournament that every single league tournament that CDL holds. There's 16. That doesn't include mid-season and champs, bro. Like, that's a lot of money. I know champs doesn't have overall the most amount of money, but you have $200,000 guaranteed every month in tournament prize money.
Mm-hmm.
Every month. That's good. That's really good. And the thing is like the league pays that out. So the organizations that paid all this money to be in this franchise league are now making their money back. I think the one thing that the CDL doesn't do right is they don't promote their team merch enough, and they don't, like, they've only done one pack for these CDL skins per team. Release pack 2. Give these teams incentive to join your league. Give them a reason for next year to be like, look, this is how well these teams did last year on our league. If you invest $25 million, this is what we can do for you. Create an incentive package. That's the one thing I think they're lacking on. And I think Overwatch League is 100% lacking on that as well. So I don't think it's just the CDL. I think it's franchise leagues in general. They're too focused on trying to make money on sponsorships when you need to be promoting these teams that will be buying stuff in their content, that will be creating new fans, getting people into the game. That is how you make your money. You make your money by creating community. All right, so enough of that.
I don't know. I don't enjoy the CDL that much. I mean, the format. I think Halo. The reason why I said it's gonna be like the league, because they're already starting to do that right now, especially with this recent tournament format. Because if you think about it, they're gonna have a top seeded teams. I mean, it's the way it's always been. Top seeded teams are gonna make it into
it's gonna be like MLG
winners bracket of the event. Then you're gonna have open qualifiers. I think that needs to be continued regardless of a season or whatever the case may be. I don't think we're gonna see like a pro league, which I think honestly, if I had to choose between CDL and pro league, like what Halo was, I thought pro league did it better than how CDL is doing it right now.
Yeah, the one thing that CDL does is, as far as that type of franchising goes, it provides crazy amount of stability for the players. And
I get that, but another thing I was gonna say is if they want that, they can explore, which I'm surprised the players haven't demanded this even in CDL, which I think there is now that they signed contracts and stuff. There has to be kind of like a players union. I think there's
100% that in CDL.
Players union.
There's 100. There is 100% that in CDL, by the way.
Yeah. There needs to be that, and not necessarily that. I think that needs to. That takes so much other things when we were going into.
Well, check this out. Every single player, even if you're a sub in the CDL, is guaranteed a minimum salary.
Yeah.
That, dude, imagine that has never happened in Halo, bro. The teams that are simply not in top 4 in Halo always change and never get paid. The only way they will get paid is if they're streamers and they make content. That's life, bro. That's how it is. They'll get paid once a year from placing top 8 at World Championship. And if there's an upset, one of those top teams isn't getting paid. The one thing, again, what CDL does is it provides true player stability. Hey, Phantom, you can play competitively and win one tournament one season and make 50K, or I can guarantee you 50K a year to play. What one are you gonna choose?
Yeah, I'm gonna choose the other one.
You're gonna choose guaranteed, right?
Yeah,
of course.
I'm gonna choose guaranteed.
I think that plus the structure that CDL has, the tournament format. I hate the Overwatch League structure, bro. I hate it. I can't do it. It doesn't put enough weight on matches. You watch the match, hope your team wins, but it doesn't give me incentive to watch the other teams play. The one thing that CDL does is like, all right, so you're a Toronto fan, right? Toronto, they're gonna play, if they win this series, they're gonna play the winner of Florida and Minnesota. You're gonna watch Florida and Minnesota because they play that same weekend. It gives you incentive to watch other teams and increases viewership over time. I don't think I agree with you. I don't think Halo should do it right away. I don't think they should do it year 1 at all. I think maybe year 2, maybe year 3, it needs to be an option. It needs to be something they're considering. Because
I mean, it's gonna happen if there's enough, again, demand for it. Halo esports, it's gonna happen. I mean, inevitable. That's what everything's moving towards. I don't think it should though, because like even the CDL, I understand from a player, yes, that's what I want and that's what I need. Even from an org standpoint, that's what we need. But as a viewer, to me, it just lowers
What turns you
down
off as a viewer?
competition. Yeah,
What
I mean,
what turns you off though? I guess I don't feel the same way.
it just to me,
you have the weight and you
like,
have the actual prize money there. But what is so you have your traditional tournament structure there, which you liked before. But what is not doing it? What is not doing it now?
I just don't like the way the season, the way it's broken up. I think the way they had it before, that works in a franchise way. Like,
okay.
I know you said you didn't want that, where it's just a couple of matches, one match a week or whatever the case.
The CWL did fine because a division was playing over a few weeks.
Yeah.
What I was referring to earlier was the CDL's original format where
that's what I'm saying. Under a franchise, I think the CDL original format works better than this.
Oh, wow.
To me, I like it, but I don't want to see. And I understand. Again, for me, it's business. Once it becomes franchise, for me, it's business, and it makes sense to me 100%, and I get it. But I don't want to see some teams compete one weekend and another team not. I know, again, it has to do with player, mental health and physical things, again, travel.
So basically what you're saying is you don't care about any of our players.
It makes sense to me, but I'm saying as a competitive standpoint, as a viewer, it's not fun for me. I don't want to do that. Even like something as simple as the bracket switch that we talked about. I want to see a team dump on the same team 3 times if they can. I don't want them to face the other side of the bracket now. Like, I mean, there's just so say that. The other thing is the lack of open tournaments. I mean, Halo is open tournaments.
Whoa.
You know?
Before you say anything about open tournaments,
that's challengers. I mean,
they've already done 4 this season.
Yeah. And
they've done $50,000 guaranteed in challengers prize money.
But that's like an AM tournament. It's not really an open. I mean, players are getting cherry picked to go into Pro League or to CDL, but they're not gonna ever be like relegated or anything like that. The only thing is until champs.
Well, you're a fan of baseball, right?
Yeah.
So how I look at it, so in order for someone to be put onto a team, they have to have a certain amount of challengers points or be active in challengers, period. To me, that's the equivalent of having the MLB and then your AAA teams.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good RBI, someone's not performing, you switch them out. I mean, that makes sense, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I have an issue with. Exactly what you're saying. I don't want esports to be stuck in that same mindset of a traditional sport.
Okay.
To me, I have a larger issue with that overall. Is I don't think you can do that, or I don't think you should. You can.
Yeah, I think you can, and I think their how they create the perception of their league is what's 100% going to make or break it. Because I mean, you can't say you dislike watching the CDL because we've been playing before, and you'll be like, man, I wish there was a CDL tournament this weekend. Last weekend was so much fun to watch.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it. I'm just saying the overall.
You could be enjoying it more, is what you're saying.
I could be enjoying it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's nothing to do with the players. It has nothing to do with the game. It just has to do with the whole not even the format, because it's a tournament format. It's just the little things that changed. I mean, for me,
but you would rather have, like, let's say one less event every month. Let's say you would rather do one Pro League period event and then one open event.
It's not even the format. It's just, for me, if you're gonna do it franchise, do it franchise. Don't, because what they did is like, all right, we're a franchise league, we're gonna do it like all the other franchise leagues. But people complain. Let's try to do something to make it like what people are used to, the tournament format. But even for me, at least, that still doesn't, like, it doesn't. I can't have it both ways. It's either gonna be this. Or
I think they did that. I mean,
it's gonna be this or it has to be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like it like this, and I think it calmed everyone down that was upset or.
I think there's good and bad to both ways of doing it.
Yeah. I
do think the benefits to the players and the spectators are more heavily in favor in this current format than they would have been in the previous format. Just because, again, travel schedule, you don't want the players to die, right? And
Yeah.
then as a spectator, it does put more weight on the match, and it's a lot more content in a weekend, a lot more content. But I can't agree with you. Like if they're gonna do the franchising thing, they need to do it franchise way. So I can see some of the professionalism maybe taken out of it because it still looks like an esport.
Yeah.
Um, if is that kind of what that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what
Okay.
I'm getting at. Is that, I mean, it has to be done. If this is what you're gonna do, you need to do it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the opposite of what we said about Halo. Is
Yeah.
well, actually, what you were saying. If HCS is gonna make a league, they need to say this is how it's gonna be, and that's how it's gonna be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
And I think they're getting a better job at doing that. And CDL, I think they struggled in the beginning to this helped a lot of the things. But even then, remember when they switched to the tournament format, a lot of people brought up saying, "Hey, how come these teams don't play these other teams?" I think it just introduces more issues that way.
I think the bye week's interesting because Toronto's the perfect case. This weekend we had no idea what they're gonna do, and they came out and blew everybody out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, oh man, they haven't been playing. Like, dude, that I guess didn't matter because they played against teams like Minnesota and Florida that have been playing almost every weekend, and they beat them.
Yeah, they dominated them.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, you're not saying this. You're saying people in general have said this. So I think teams sitting out for a week or two is a good thing, man. It gives them time to collect themselves and maybe come back a better team, and then because one thing I was able to do 100%, and even in Halo, and you can do this, we could talk about brackets and we can almost predict a bracket perfectly. And you can do it. You can do it in Smash Brothers. If you see a top 8, you can predict a top 8, and you'd be like, all right, the HBox is probably gonna win. You're probably gonna see Zane in second because he's gonna choke game 5. But now with these teams sitting out for 2 weeks, my bracket when I filled up, my bracket was completely wrong, completely wrong.
Yeah.
The only thing that was right was FaZe winning.
That's true.
That I mean, and Royal Ravens winning round 1, but then they lost to Optic later. So I mean, my bracket was completely wrong. And if these teams were playing every weekend, I wouldn't be able to say that. I'd probably be able to predict the brackets a lot better. And then when you do have substitutions, it wouldn't allow these teams to sub a player in and then work on their sub. So I think it's I get it. You want to see your favorite team play every weekend. But dude, if Seattle wants to take a break and come back better, I'm for it, man. Take 5 weeks off, man. I don't care. Just come back better, please.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, this is what the goal is, anyways, for an esport. So I get it's gonna happen naturally.
Yeah.
I just hope that it's.
I'll be curious to see. I want to reopen this topic at the end of the season. I'd be curious to see what you say then. I wonder. I don't want to say. I don't want to think. I obviously want you to hold strong to what your views are as far as how you view it, but I'm curious to see how you like or dislike certain things in the future.
I mean, right now,
especially
with it being online, I think we'll have to wait till the next full season for maybe to get a fair shot.
Yeah.
Or a fair chance for me to analyze it. But I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. We went a little bit over time. I wanted to kind of keep this 45 minutes to an hour. We're about 13, but that's not bad. That's not bad. So summary: Ultra's better. Minnesota, Florida. Work on your stuff. Optic, good job. New York, I believe better than Optic. Domination, go away. We don't want you anymore.
I do. I want it.
Just be better, Domination.
Just be better. Yeah.
Halo esports. We touched on we didn't even touch on the part of Halo esports I was even going to talk about. But Halo esports, don't franchise right away, please. Build your structure first, and then think about franchising in the future, and then we'll debate about structure later. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it. Thank you so much for watching or listening, whatever you're doing. This will be up on youtube.com/LFTG official. Tomorrow. I'm not gonna do it right away because it's gonna take a while. But yeah, follow Phantom on Twitter. He has very interesting things to say, like how he doesn't like LA Gorillas. And
I do. I just don't like the players.
That's about it. All right, thank you, Fano, for doing this. We're gonna do this more.
Yeah, dude.
All right. We'll set up the next one, and we'll debate about when it's gonna happen.
Cool.
Cool. Bye. Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab some
Fancy
food.
outro.
Are you gonna play?
Fancy outro. I'll be playing in a little bit. I'll message you
I'm
when
gonna
I'm
grab some
playing.
food.
All right. Sounds good. I'm gonna eat as well.
Peace.